How do you find the time to write a book? There's constant distractions.
There's no time.
There's children, there's taxes, there's TikTok, there's... No,
Children, taxes, and TikTok. Yes, those are the problems.
I only have to deal with one of those.
Smashing Security, Episode 306, No-Fly Lists, Cell Phones, and the End of Ransomware Riches, with Carole, Theriault, and Graham Cluley.
Hello, and welcome to Smashing Security, Episode 306. My name's Graham Cluley.
And I'm Carole Theriault.
Carole, welcome back. We've all been worried about you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you worried about me. I had 24 hours of not to be discussed violent illness. Holy moly. Let's just say.
The perfect cue for our guest, Maria Varmazis.
Coming out both ends, Maria Varmazis. Yay.
Yay. Hi, Maria. You don't make me sick.
Hi. That is a ringing endorsement. I don't think anyone's ever said something nicer about me.
Oh.
I don't make you sick. That's so great. Love you too.
Before we kick off, let's thank this week's sponsors, Bitwarden, Manage Engine PAM 360, and Nord Lair. It's their support that help us give you this show for free. Now, coming up on today's show, Graham, what do you got?
I'm going to be giving some great advice for budding authors.
Ooh. And Maria, what about you?
How to hack an airline or not, really.
And with me, you'll enter the world of ransomware, if you dare. All this and much more coming up on this episode of Smashing Security.
Now, chums, huddle up, because I want to ask you a very serious question, which is, have either of you ever been interested in writing a book? Have you thought about writing a book?
Yes.
Yeah,
a billion times.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Maria, what kind of book have you thought of writing?
Oh, goodness. I've had a whole bunch of ideas. I don't want to embarrass myself, but I haven't done it, which is the important thing. So nobody has to do how's your novel coming along? Are you writing a novel?
Would it be like romancy or crimey?
No.
Or sci-fi?
No.
Sexy? Erotica? Erotica?
No.
Mystery?
Memoir.
Oh,
memoir. It would have been memoir.
A memoir.
A memoir.
Yeah.
Carole, have you ever thought of writing a book?
Yes. 1,000 times.
Yes?
Yes.
I remember you writing something when you were, we used to work at the same company, of course, and you used to spend part of your time writing about, it was sort of an erotic romance about one of the senior members of staff and his body of pink steel.
This is you ranking crazy.
Oh.
He's whisking up our past to be completely
My
different.
goodness.
What happened, Graham?
Was the security very naked or no?
What happened was that I bought Graham for his birthday a how-to book for dummies, those dummies book, and it was how to write erotic romance novels.
That's right.
And it was fantastic. And then we challenged ourselves and we both wrote one about senior members of staff at Sophos.
On paper, he was an impressive catch. As a senior player in a leading IT security company and the founding father of several charities, he wore his great power and wealth lightly. Nothing gave him as much joy as seeing the faces of the children he helped save. As an ex-member of the British Olympic badminton team, women fantasized about him lifting them into his arms and carrying them to a large, silk-draped bed. His simple grey suit sit a body of pink steel, with a taut chest that rippled as his perfect ass made women stifle some.
And the game was which one was sexier and which one could you identify? And I think you won the prize, Graham. I think you won.
Well, I don't want to blow my own trumpet, which did, of course, occur in chapter 3. But
Boom, boom.
Anyway, I've always thought, wouldn't it be wonderful to write maybe my memoir, maybe my struggle. How a young lad.
I don't think 20-page books are the big rage.
That's a pamphlet.
The thing is this. I think many of us would love to write a book or write a novel or something like that. But how do you find the time? How do you find the time to write a book? There's constant distractions.
There's no no time.
There's children, there's taxes, there's TikTok, there's
children, taxes, and TikTok. Yeah, those are the problems.
I only have to deal with one of those.
And maybe more importantly, how can you be sure that you'll actually make any money out of the book? Because it would be such a waste of time, wouldn't it? Writing a book and you're not going to make any money out of it. Just
I don't
years.
think you write a book for money.
Well, I hope you don't, because I think it's quite hard to make money out of a book.
Yeah, you would think that people would understand that, Carole, but a lot of people don't.
Yeah. No, you write it for the cachet.
The cachet, not the cash.
Okay.
Well, anyway, look, I've got the answer. I've worked out somewhere where you can go. We can spend hours in the privacy of your room, not being disturbed by children, not distracted. You don't have to worry about paying your bills. You don't have to think, I've spent too long at Waitrose, popping out to the shops, doing things other than writing. It is the perfect place to be. It is, of course, prison. If you go to prison, they lock you up for hours and hours, 23 hours a day, in a cell.
With a brand new Apple Mac.
Well, no, they don't. I don't know that they do give you an Apple Mac.
Lightning speed fiber.
Well,
so you can surf the internet and not write your novel.
you sound rather skeptical, but my attention was brought this week to a report in the Marshall Project. It's a non-profit news organisation. They've taken a close look at the use of cell phones behind bars. Behind prison bars.
Prison bars, okay.
Yes, prison bars. Not behind the bar of, not Moe's bar.
Okay.
Amanda Hug and Kiss. Nothing like that.
Wow. 90s references.
So,
Love it. Get everything on this podcast. It's great.
He stopped living then. No.
Early Simpsons. I'm with you. I got it.
He just started using the word woke, so,
Oh, no.
I'm ignoring you. In most prisons.
Is Yeet going to be next? No? Okay.
In most prisons, you're not allowed phones. They don't like it.
Right.
But it doesn't mean people don't have phones. They definitely do have phones. Sometimes they have very, very tiddly tiny phones. There is. I looked up on Amazon. There's a phone called the Zanko Teeny Tiny T1.
All right, I need to Google this. What is this?
It claims to be the world's smallest phone. It's about the size.
Oh my God.
Fits into
thumb.
any orifice.
Exactly.
Oh, that is definitely going up somebody's bum.
So
oh my God.
I don't know if it has a vibrating ringtone or not. I don't know if it can help you play chess to a grandmaster level or not. But it's known as the Boss Beater because it's designed to beat a body orifice security scanner known as the Boss. You can listen to music, albeit muffled. You can text with your friends. You can make calls, but it's so tiny. It's about the size of your ear because if you hold it up to your ear with its tiny little speaker, I wonder whether you're also covering the microphone, which is meant to be your mouth, whether you're constantly sort of sliding it back and forth. I don't know. But it is presumably, as we've already said, as you've said, Maria, rather grubbily, it is probably fairly easy to smuggle into a prison, albeit somewhat uncomfortable.
Okay.
So mobile phones are apparently one of the most smuggled items into prisons after cakes with files in them.
Well, it's how you do your business, right?
Exactly. It's how you do your business.
You contact Uncle Joe and say, Uncle Joe, remember the meeting. Don't be late.
Well, I don't know if they're what you mean meeting in the prison or
No. Maybe, you're conducting business outside the prison. If you have a phone, you have ability to do that.
I don't think they're calling cell to cell. I know they're called cellular phones, but I don't think they're calling from cell to cell. It's the outside world that they want to talk to, isn't it? Because, of course, you might still...
That's what I'm saying.
You might still... Is that what you were saying?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Anyway, the thing is...
Yes.
Normally a phone, right? If you've got a phone in the prison, it's being monitored, isn't it? You have to you're only allowed to call certain people, like your brief or your mole outside or your but the thing is that the phone calls are being monitored and supervised for understandable
exactly.
reasons.
Yeah.
And they're being recorded at all times. So
all the
it's
time.
not like you're going to conduct illegal businesses or...
No, a prisoner never would do something shady like that.
Never do anything like that. So their prisoners might want their own phone. And some are using these just to stay in touch with their families, which is understandable because you would be worried. I would be worried. I might call up, the dog, see that he's doing okay. I might call up my child. I might just want to check they've done their homework or something. So I'd give someone a bell. So you might want it for legitimate reasons and simply, not be restricted to the times when you're allowed to use the phone and who you're allowed to call. But also, people are using their mobile phones in prisons, especially in America, to traffic guns and drugs, and even sextortion scams are being operated from inside prison. You know, these scams where they pretend to be nubile young women and get you to take your clothes off and do things in front of the webcam.
I've heard of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know the coolest prison racket that I've ever heard of?
Go on, tell me.
Poetry.
Hey?
There was a prisoner who would coordinate with other prisoners that he would write erotic poetry for the loved ones back home for a certain amount of money or cigarettes or whatever, because he was a very good writer. So he would actually, other prisoners would pay him, and he would do a Cyrano de Bergerac thing.
Oh, without the big nose. Ah. That's quite romantic. I quite like that.
Yes. Poetry from prison. Yeah.
Erotic poetry.
It's erotic poetry.
Yes.
Yeah, it was erotic poetry. Yeah.
You have to. It's quite difficult, isn't it, finding rhymes for certain things?
You can do it if you try.
I was thinking of the family china and, things like that. Maybe. Anyway, some people get up to naughtiness, so more naughty than that. I heard of one guy who was on death row, and he was making threatening calls to a Texas state senator, saying, "We're going to kill you." So, mate,
did it work? No.
But anyway, the Marshall Project, they report that they can also be used for good. So they say that some people are smuggling contraband phones into the prison to take public Harvard classes. So they're actually...
Oh, right. Oh, to study. Right.
Yes, to study. So to improve themselves, which is a wonderful thing, isn't it? Or they're learning medical care. So maybe, hey, Jimmy Fingers, I just got slashed down in the showers. So if you've got a gaping wound and you don't want to go to the Rozzers or the Nurks, what's the phrase for prison guards? I don't know.
You definitely want your doctor to be called Jimmy Fingers and not like Jimmy Stump.
Jimmy Sutures.
And so that people are going up on these sites and they're checking out all these videos and they're sort of fixing people up with, pipe cleaners and a bit of, a spring they find down the back of a bunk bed or something. They're doing first aid and they're using YouTube and TikTok to develop new skills. It's wonderful, really, isn't it? Now, one guy was able to FaceTime his mum before she passed away. I mean, that's a great thing, isn't it?
Aww.
Isn't that lovely?
From the phone that he smuggled up his bum.
With a faint poop stink.
Some of you...
You must put it in a condom or something before you slap it up your butt.
Charming. Some have even self-published books on Amazon, which they wrote.
They've typed on the tiny phone's keyboard.
Well, no, okay. I knew you were going to say this. They're not necessarily using the tiny teeny Zanko T1, which has the world's smallest keys to press. Some of them have actually smuggled in smartphones, of course, which include voice dictation. Might be a bit quicker, maybe. I don't know, but this is what's going on. This is what's going on. Some are taking online classes. Some are participating in Zoom classrooms. So
that's kind of admirable, though. I mean,
it is.
Getting your master's degree from prison, that's kind of great.
Can I ask how they know this?
Because
is this what they said? They've gone to interview somebody?
The Marshall Project have been talking to prisoners and finding out what's going on.
Honest to God, if I was a prisoner and I'd pulled this off, I would tell everybody. I would be like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah, only when you're out, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I got in the first place, I probably wasn't the smartest. But yeah, I would be bragging like hell.
Well,
yeah.
and some are doing this to participate in Zoom classrooms. Others, this online gig hustle which you can do. You know how everyone's remote working these days. You say to the boss, oh, yeah, as long as I get the work done, don't worry about the hours I do, I'll get the work done. And you either farm it out to Fiverr or something and get someone in Indonesia to do the work for you, or you have about 3 or 4 different jobs on the go at the same time. You're employed by all these different companies and you say, yes, yeah, I'm there. You just got different windows open. Well, some of these guys in prison apparently are doing online gig work. So maybe they're helping the rest of us.
They're on Fiverr.
Yeah.
They're like, listen, I don't care if that task, I'm only getting $5 for it. I'm in prison. It's more than I would wait.
It is incredible, though. Like, you can be incarcerated physically, but you can still,
yes,
as long as you've got one of these little gadgets.
This is the wonder of technology.
Isn't there a famous character from some TV show who gets his law degree from prison?
Probably. There are people who've done that, haven't they? Where they've been in prison and they've basically trained themselves up because they feel that they got stitched up.
Well, what else are you going to do, right?
You've got all that time. Yeah, let's be like the one time in my life I'd be like, yeah, I will commit to this now.
You've made me. I'm in a cell.
Like, I'll do it.
There's one prisoner who's managed to sign up 300 other prisoners at different prisons across the United States. They're all signed up now for a Harvard computer science course.
Good for them.
And so and freelance writing, right? I could work anywhere because I do a bit of writing, right? I write blogs and things. I could do that anywhere. Maybe I could actually do this from a prison cell. I'd have unfettered internet access.
Why don't you try?
You should go to prison. I think that is the plan. You should do that. Just go try it out.
Try.
Anyway, I think this is a fine thing as long as it's not being used for scams. If there was some way to get people to use this for good rather than bad and not engage in the bad stuff, maybe we just need net nanny. Maybe we just need more surveillance as to what people are doing. I don't know. What would you do if you had a life sentence and an internet connection? Maria Varmazis.
Life sentence and an internet connection.
Yes.
That's what the pandemic felt like, honestly.
Maria, what have you got for us this week?
Mine is actually about security. I don't know if that's okay, but
let's try it out.
Mine was definitely about security. Mine was about
hush now, Graham. Hush. It's now Maria's turn.
BYOD. It was BYOD.
Yeah.
So the teaser for my segment is how to hack an airline or not, and is it really hacking something if you just walk into something and just find an unsecured list of names on an unsecured server? Is that really hacking if you just pick it up?
It sounds more like stumbling, doesn't it?
Stumbling upon it.
Yes.
No, I think the hacking bit is taking it, isn't it?
Is it, or has one just found it?
Yeah.
So our listeners, I'm sure, will understand what I'm about to say. Shodan has struck again. Struck gold.
Yep.
A person who goes by the name of, okay, I'm going to get this name incorrect. Hold on a second. Maya Arson Crimeu is a Swiss hacker and used Shodan to, scan unsecured servers on the internet, as one does with Shodan, because that's what Shodan does, and happened to find a unsecured server run by the U.S. national airline Commute Air, which I have never heard of, but they must be a smaller provider.
Okay.
And found a text file on that server, wide open to the internet, called nofly.csv.
Their no-fly list, like we're not flying that person.
'Tis not Commute Air's no-fly list. It is the United States' no-fly list.
In a CSV file, so it's not encrypted, it's just plain text. It's not even an Excel spreadsheet format, is it? It's just anything you can open with, right?
Yeah, you can just use it with Notepad or
TextPad,
whatever.
yeah.
Just TextPad, just plop it on open. And it apparently has about 1.5 million entries in it, and includes names and birth dates, multiple aliases for some people who may be trying to evade the government. This is the official U.S. government terrorist screening database, and the official U.S. government no-fly list, which has been extremely controversial in the United States for the past 20 plus years, by the way. But it ballooned in size ever since 9/11 for probably very obvious reasons.
Have we searched the list for the names of people we know?
I bet you could. I actually have not gone to look to see if someone has put this CSV online, although maybe we could just go find it. We could just go on Shodan right now and be like, hey, no-fly.csv.
Graham wants to Google his name, you see. He wants to see if he's on it.
Carole, I remember that, in fact, Maria, all three of us worked at a company where a certain person who worked in the virus lab shared the name with someone who was on the do not fly list.
Yeah, I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it caused them some difficulties, didn't it?
I imagine it would. My husband ran into some issues with that, and his name, I don't know if it was on it or not, but he had an issue with getting flagged from that. It's a big problem if you're flagged and there's really no recourse for you if you feel like you've been incorrectly included. It's a big problem.
Yeah.
So according to Crimeu, who's, by the way, their website is maya.crimeu.gay. Amazing. Just amazing URL. Apparently a lot of the people on the list, their names were of obvious Arabic or Middle Eastern descent. There are some names that are Hispanic or Anglican sounding, but there are also a lot of Russian sounding names. I don't know what we want to do with that information, but it's just interesting, I guess. Yep. And apparently the TSA says it is, quote, aware of a potential cybersecurity incident with Commute Air, and we are investigating in coordination with our federal partners. And further investigation showed that this no-fly list is apparently from 2019, so it's a few years old. So presumably it's gotten bigger since then.
So my gut says, okay, you'll tell me if I'm right or wrong. Maybe you'll know, but I guess there's an employee who could have a little cut and paste while they are working for the TSA. And now they find themselves working at Commute Airlines and just plopped it in the database as their kind of, welcome gift for hiring them.
I mean, it's a goof, isn't it? It's
It's quite
a goof that someone found it. It's not a goof that it exists.
Yeah, but do you think it was maliciously taken or left there, or it's more likely to be a cock up, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Crimey just stumbled across it. It didn't take super long for them to find it either. That was their blog post is super funny. And it's just like basically using Shodan, looking for exposed Jenkins servers. All of a sudden, doink! What is this file? Oh my God, look at this. Apparently, a lot of the process in the blog post was actually trying to find journalists who'd be interested in this story. And a lot of them did not understand what Crimey was trying to tell them, which is hilarious.
I'm reading the blog post right now, and the way they put it is, holy shit, we actually have the no-fly list. Holy f***ing bingle, what? Various emojis.
Yeah, it doesn't take a whole long time for Crimey to find this file and be like, oh, that's what this is. It's ridiculous.
So this isn't just people's names. This is also passport details and license numbers and addresses and all sorts of information about crews as well as actual people on the no-fly list.
Yeah, Crimey was able to find a bunch of other files that were exposed openly to the internet, including that information that had serious PII like that you mentioned. The no-fly list had just, I believe, names and birth dates, which again, not a small thing either. But yeah, all sorts of other sensitive information was also wide open to the internet. I mean, it's like, is it really a hacking story if it's just yet another bucket misconfig? It is, but it's just like, oh my God.
No, I know, but
it keeps us employed, I guess. But.
Yeah. If I left a golden statue in my front garden, would I expect it to disappear? Yes, I would. Right? And that's kind of what they did. They kind of just left something, but they didn't leave it out front. Someone had to go, it's like I left it in my back garden in the corner off to the side.
I wouldn't say necessarily this was in the back garden at the corner. It feels like it was maybe.
Was right on the curb.
Yeah.
Like right there. Somebody went, oh, it's on the curb. This must be available
and they just looked at it.
Yeah, it's like somebody's donating this or it's going to trash, whatever. Like it's unclear.
Yeah. But it goes to show, I wonder if all small airlines have access to the no-fly list. Does everyone have that? Is this
I would imagine they must, because they all have. If you fly within the United States, you have to comply with the United States federal air laws.
But do you need it as a great big list, or should there be a system whereby you can sort of look up a name or something
I suspect that's how it works, and someone has the whole list.
Well,
yeah, or maybe it was a centralized database, and someone's like, I'm going to make a local copy. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how it works on the back end.
And I'll keep it on the cloud in CSV form with no protection.
Maybe their internet went down at some point, and they're like, well, we can't fly unless we have this list, so we better have a local backup. I could totally see that happen.
Well, that's true. I mean, if you had to access some sort of shared resource, and if you were a baddie getting onto a plane, and you realize you're on the do not fly list, then the thing to do is to DDoS the do not fly server, I suppose, isn't it? So people wouldn't be able to access it to look you up. So I guess people must have access to this data somehow.
Yeah. And did Maya get in touch with them to tell them that they found this?
That's a good question.
So it's not responsible disclosure, really, if you're slapping this out there.
So what happens? So at the bottom of their blog post, it says, what happens next with the no-fly data? And I'll just read what they said. So while the nature of this information is sensitive, I believe it is in the public interest for this list to be made available to journalists and human rights organizations. So if you are a journalist, researcher, or other party with legitimate interest, please reach out to nofly@crimeu.gay. I will only give this data to parties I believe will do the right thing with it. Alternatively, the data is now available for access upon request via DDoS secrets. So the TSA knows now. They know.
Yep.
No, I know,
So,
but we do
yeah.
tap dance about, responsible disclosure. And I think it's important.
Yeah, but they haven't released the data to the wild, as it were, have they? They haven't published it for any Tom, Dick, and Harry to see.
No, they're just telling their story. I suppose
they're just telling their story, I'd think, and sharing it with journalists to corroborate their story, maybe.
Okay.
Given the outcome, could one classify this as, I hate saying this phrase, but hacktivism?
I think if they put the list out for everyone to see, yes.
Yeah, but they haven't done that.
They haven't done that. No. I mean, yeah, it is. I mean, again, expose server to the wide open internet, like it's. But at the same time, I mean, these things happen, and it happens a lot. And I guess this is a better outcome than someone going, "I'm just going to put it on Pastebin, go nuts." So I don't know.
Sometimes I get emails from people saying, "Would you like the contact details of 50,000 people who are interested in a particular product or something like this?
No.
Would you like this mailing list?" And I'm thinking, if I ran a multinational evil conglomeration and I wanted to get together all the baddies around the world for some mega conference, probably underneath a volcano, then this is the kind of list which I would really like. This would be fantastic, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you could hit them up.
Hit them up. Get the, make a sort of. I've got another whole new James Bond plot in the offing here.
I was going to say, you're really entering your James Bond villain phase. Yeah.
Carole, what have you got for us this week?
If you wanted to rob a bank, you need some guts, right? Because you'd have to storm in. You'd have to figure out the best time to do it. So when it was quiet and the security guy was having a poop or something. You'd have to cover your face to make sure no one could, see you, to describe you.
Yes.
You have to scare people into cooperating, hoping to God that in 30 seconds you'd have a fat bag of money and you'd be diving in your getaway car. Peeling out of Dodge.
Scarpering, yeah.
It's not for the faint-hearted.
No, it's
There's
not.
a lot that could go wrong there, And like today, if you want to steal cash, you just go down the ransomware route, right? You're unlikely to get killed. You're unlikely to be recognized.
Unlikely, but
not guaranteed, but much less likely.
A lot of crims are doing it. That's true.
A lot of crims are doing it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're working from home in their pajamas.
Yeah. And ransomware is a service, big model now, right? It's thriving.
Maybe they're in prison. Maybe they're in prison coordinating a
Maybe
ransomware
they
operation
are.
via their mobile phone, which would be a cybersecurity angle.
Oh, full circle. We did it. We did it, everybody.
But last year, there was a notable shift in the ransomware ecosystem.
Really?
Yes, because had you asked me last year, I would have said that based on the fact that everyone's putting every digital thing they've ever done online in a cloud somewhere to keep, from nudes to prescriptions to photos to everything, it seems inevitable that ransomware is going to continue to plague both the lowly user and, enterprises and companies and hospitals and all that. However, according to Chain Analysis, this is a company that claims to be the blockchain data platform, they recently shared some ransomware findings, and it's receiving more than its fair share of press because the news is rather surprising that cybercrime gangs have had a 40% drop in earnings in 2022. That's huge. So in 2021, extortions were estimated at $765 million, whereas 2022 was estimated at $460 million. 40% drop. So why? Sadly, it's not because ransomware has had its heyday. Despite the drop in revenue, the numbers of unique ransomware strains in operation have reportedly exploded in 2022.
All right.
But despite this so-called explosion, there's a strong whiff of affiliations in the ransomware world. So while dozens of ransomware strains may technically have been active throughout 2022, many of the attacks attributed to these strains seem to be carried out by the same people.
Okay.
Microsoft security researchers back this up by analysis on similarities between attacks of different strains and saying, look, it's, how they're carried out is very, very similar. Must be the same people behind it.
Well, the same people behind the technology, I guess, but it could be different criminals who are actually launching them, couldn't it?
Well, this is where
Right.
Chain Analysis comes in because they look at blockchain wallet activity.
Right.
Yep.
And they say that often the ransomware attackers reuse wallet for multiple attacks.
Okay.
So in other words, there's loads of strains, but it's being admitted by a small group of folks.
Okay, we're with you. I'm with you.
But this doesn't really explain the 40% drop in ransomware return.
40%?
Yes.
Feels like a lot.
Doesn't it feel like a lot?
That does, especially considering the fever pitch every year of ransomware is out of control. I mean, it's not a small issue. I'm going to try and convince you now.
Okay, try and convince us.
Okay. Yep.
So Conti was a prolific ransomware strain for a few years, okay, taking in more revenue than any other variant in 2021. Mm-hmm. But in February, following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the Conti team publicly announced its support for Vladimir Putin's government. Soon after, a cache of Conti's internal communications leaked and indicated connections between the cybercrime organizations and the FSB, the Russian Federal Security Services.
Okay.
Ipso facto, many ransomware victims and incident response firms decided that paying Conti attackers was too risky, as the FSB is a sanctioned entity.
Oh, I see.
Okay. Yep.
So Conti is not a sanctioned entity, but because there's connections with the FSB, people were like, I don't want to get in trouble. So Conti basically eventually responded by announcing its closure, right? So they just said, we're not doing it anymore. Conti's closure drove many affiliates or people to conduct attacks for other ransomware strains where ransom victims were more likely to pay because people weren't paying with these ones. And like notably not tied to the FSB as they could see. But because the people reuse the same wallets, chain analysis are able to better understand the ransomware ecosystem. So it all kind of makes sense. You're following me?
Yep, I'm with you.
I'll tell you what I don't understand is if you're saying that Conti stopped getting ransomware payments because organisations didn't want to pay a criminal organisation associated with the FSB, wouldn't it be in the interests of the US authorities, for instance, to name lots of other ransomware groups as being affiliated with the FSB as well? And people wouldn't pay them either. Why not claim that they're all working for the Kremlin?
I've linked to the chain analysis report. So they do a bit of that saying, here are the other ransomware attached with the same wallets, right? So they're using the wallets as a way to link the people who are behind it. They say the upshot of all this is that it may be more productive to think of the ransomware ecosystem not as a collection of distinct different strains, but instead of a small group of hackers who rotate brand identities regularly. So they basically just rebrand them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Like a corporation.
Bill Siegel, CEO and co-founder of Coveware, says the number of core individuals involved in ransomware is incredibly small versus perception, maybe a couple hundred.
Wow.
Huh.
So he says it's the same criminals. They're just repainting their getaway cars.
Huh.
Fascinating.
Wow. Well, it definitely changes my perception of ransomware a little bit. That's not at all what I would have expected. I thought it was just like a huge wide web of thousands upon thousands, and they were all just casting wide nets. I would not have thought just a couple hundred.
I think what's kind of cool about it for me as well is they're keeping to one wallet. You have also like ransomware researchers looking at the actual nuts and bolts inside the code to see how they're operating, how they're encrypting, how they're working, whether it's a service, whatever. And you put those things together, you get a much different picture of what's going on. And that's kind of cool. So yeah, interesting reading.
Wow. News you can use. Amazing.
How much money do these guys actually need? I mean, I can understand why Boris Johnson might need to keep on having dodgy loans given to him. But I mean, what are they going to do with all of this money? I mean, even if their numbers have gone down by 40%.
Still a fuck ton of money, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Graham's hurting financially right now. And he's like, why does anyone need more than when they need? Because then I could have a bit more.
Give me some.
I don't understand what drives them because, if you've made your fortune through ransomware, isn't that enough? Do you have to keep on going and maybe get yourself in more trouble?
Yeah, we've seen people step down when they have enough, like Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and, all of them. Elon.
I think you'll find Elon is letting loose a lot of money. He's burning money.
He's burning that money. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Didn't he get the Guinness World Record for the person who has lost the most amount of money? Yeah.
Yes, lost the most money in history.
Amazing.
All imaginary money that never existed to begin with, but he lost it. Amazing.
So there's probably a lot of Smashing Security listeners out there who might be concerned after hearing about the data breach which recently occurred at LastPass. Now, that allowed hackers to steal customers' password vaults, and unfortunately there were parts of those password vaults which were astonishingly unencrypted. There's no doubt a lot of questions users are going to ask LastPass about how that could have happened and why some of that data was left in that insecure state. But one password manager that isn't making that mistake is our sponsor, Bitwarden. Customers of Bitwarden know that their vaults are entirely end-to-end encrypted with zero-knowledge encryption, including, unlike LastPass, the URLs for the websites which you have saved passwords for. You can learn more about that in the Bitwarden Help Centre and at bitwarden.com/privacy. And if you happen to be looking to switch password managers right now, well, Bitwarden makes it easy. They support importing from lots of other solutions, and there's even a LastPass migration guide available. Learn more at bitwarden.com/migrate. That's bitwarden.com/migrate. And stay safe. Today's podcast is also brought to you by NordLayer. Now, NordLayer safeguards your company's network, but it's much more than just a VPN for business. As you already know, business networks today are more vulnerable than ever due to remote work, ransomware attacks, data leak incidents. Well, NordLayer secures and protects remote workforces as well as business data, and it can even help you ensure security compliance. Simply go to nordlayer.com/smashing and get 1 month free. NordLayer is easy to start at, and it takes less than 10 minutes to onboard your entire business on a secure network. NordLayer is easy to combine as it's hardware-free and compatible with all major operating systems. And finally, NordLayer is easy to scale as you can choose a plan unique to your business requirements and your rate of growth. So if you want to secure your business network, go to nordlayer.com/smashing to get your first month free. And thanks to NordLayer for supporting the show. Over 80% of all breaches occur when bad guys get their hands on the credentials of critical resources. Well, an efficient way to combat threats like these is using a privileged access management or PAM solution. An enterprise PAM tool like Manage Engine PAM 360 offers a holistic picture of all the privileged devices, users and credentials in your IT infrastructure. Manage Engine is part of Zoho that offers IT management solutions to over 280,000 enterprises around the world, so you're in good company. PAM 360 is a fully functional privileged access management suite that is easy to adopt and implement, from managing and governing access to all your enterprise resources to automating the access management lifecycle in your organization. PAM 360 does it all. It's also recognized by the Gartner Magic Quadrant. Additionally, PAM 360 offers excellent round-the-clock support for all customers and onboarding assistance for enterprises that need fine-grained customizations. PAM 360 is the solution for value-oriented enterprises looking to achieve world-class privileged access management without making a dent in their IT budget. Find out more and see for yourself at smashingsecurity.com/PAM360. That's smashingsecurity.com/PAM360. And welcome back. Can you join us at our favourite part of the show, the part of the show that we like to call Pick of the Week.
Pick of the week.
Pick of the week.
Pick of the Week is the part of the show where everyone chooses something they like. Could be a funny story, a book that they've read, a TV show, a movie, a record, a podcast, a website, or an app. Whatever they wish. It doesn't have to be security related necessarily.
Better not be.
Well, my Pick of the Week this week is not security related. It is a particular niche form of pornography, which I'm interested in. Which I'm going to talk.
Right.
Yep. So
Okay.
the particular branch of pornography I'm most interested in is property porn, which is
not chest porn.
no.
Chest porn?
Oh no!
I am actually a member of the chess porn subreddit, which isn't. It's mostly people drooling over lovely pieces. Rather than anything more fruity than that. But yes, no, I'm talking to you today about property porn. And I've got a guilty little secret, ladies and gentlemen. When I'm on my exercise bike lately, I've been watching a TV show. It's not high culture. It's called Lux Listings Sydney.
What?
And it's on Amazon Prime. What? Yes. Amazon
Yes.
Prime. Yes.
Yep.
Lux
You
Listings
get half
Sydney.
an hour or whatever, 10 minutes to yourself on the bike.
45 minutes. Thank you very much.
And 45 minutes, and this is how you choose to spend your time.
This is how I'm choosing to spend my time.
Okay.
Rather than running some sort of dodgy scam for my prison cell, instead I'm on my exercise bike watching Lux Listings Sydney on my tiny little teeny Z1 phone.
Graham, I'm with you. You have to watch trashy TV when you're doing bike stuff. I do the same thing.
You've got to do it. You got it.
it.
Anyway,
Yep.
This is one of those reality programs where, in this case, we've got a buyer's agent. His name is Simon Cohen. He is someone who's helping people buy houses. And there's also two real estate agents, Delianne Lewis and Gavin Rubenstein. And it's all fast cars, flashy cars, flashy suits, complete wanking, wankers. It's just. Maybe I should restart that sentence.
Is that what you're doing on the bike? Jeez, that's why you called it Born? Oh, God.
I don't have the energy.
I don't want to watch people wanking. Thank you.
But the point is that they're going round incredible high-end luxury properties. It's like 25 million, 30 million, the wheeler dealing.
It's just disgusting.
The way the other half lives,
I'm not sure it's half a percent perhaps, but it is quite astonishing. And so I've been watching this because I'm currently in the market for a new property. I'm looking around. The properties I'm looking at don't really compare with these, but I'm quite enjoying it. I find it quite enjoyable. And so I am watching, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I am enjoying.
I wish you were.
Lux Listings Sydney on Amazon Prime, and it is my pick of the week.
Graham, I have to make a confession. Before I came on this
Yes.
show, I was agonizing what I was going to do as my pick of the week. And I was like, what's a show I've been watching lately? Oh, I can't mention any of them because they're all trash I watch when I'm on my bike. I'm not even joking. I was like, I can't because they're all just like stupid reality TV that I can sort of zone out to while I'm biking.
Tell us one, Maria. Come on, own up.
Yeah, there's this one called The Traitors. It's basically like the mafia party game, but they did it on TV. And
Oh yes, that's been on UK TV, but I think it's also an American version, isn't there?
oh, I didn't know they were two different ones. I'm presuming I'm watching the American version.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm just like, that's not something I would just sit down and watch. But I'm on my bike. I absolutely. Watch
why
that.
not?
Yeah,
That's better, though, than...
No, Carole, have you watched Lux Listings Sydney?
Anyone who wants to buy a house for 100 million because, we definitely need 50, a 5-bedroom house for the dogs.
do you watch Grand Designs?
Just... Yeah, occasionally.
Isn't that just sort of similar?
Well, it has some integrity.
Carole, you don't really get to see the actual buyers. It's mostly their agents, people, because when you're that rich, you don't actually buy the property yourself. You get someone else to do it all for you.
You just trust their taste. Oh my God, I cannot imagine.
Thank you,
that.
Graham. You've had a great week. You've had a great week.
I feel like I made my confession. I feel better already.
I'm enjoying it anyway. Maria, your pick of the week.
I'm not on TikTok, but this person is very famous on TikTok and also on Twitter, and their videos get reposted. I see them all over everywhere, at least where I live. His name is Matt Shearer, and he's a local reporter here in the Boston area for a really old school radio and TV station called WBZ. So it's like the old grandfather of TV and radio around here. And he's a young reporter, and he has gone viral a gajillion times on TikTok for his hilarious videos about all the weird quirks and foibles and strange characters in the area where I live in Massachusetts. And he's got, it's one of those things where if you've ever been to this area, you might recognize some stuff, but if you haven't, you would go, is any of this real? And I can assure you that it is. And he's just got this knack for making these really funny 1.5-minute videos that are just brutally funny with a very weird sense of humor. There's a really famous one he did about 3 market baskets within on the same street. The Market Basket is our supermarket chain up here that people are religious about, myself included. It's like a whole thing. He also has a very famous video about how the town of Stowe lost its only Dunkin' Donuts, and the entire town was in mourning, not having a Dunkin' Donuts. It's like, it really is like that around here, and his videos are super funny. So yeah, Matt Shearer at WBZ. He's I think his Twitter account is Matt WBZ. But if you've ever seen a video that's gone viral about something stupid in Massachusetts, it's probably him who made it. So.
Fantastic. I love the idea of that.
Yeah, and he just did a video as we've been talking in my hometown of Chelmsford. So I just saw that pop up as I was going to put his URL in on the show notes, and I was like, oh, he just went to my hometown. That's amazing.
It's snowy there, Maria. I'm watching the video now. It's blimey.
That's what it's like.
That's what it's like out there.
That's what it's like out here. This is Actually, this is a small amount of snow for us. So.
Wow.
Graham's never seen snow.
No, I never. Carole, what's your pick of the week?
I have a great one, and I've been saving it for Maria because I know she's a bit of sci-fi junkie.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah. Okay, so my pick of the week is a Netflix miniseries called Hot Skull. Have either of you seen it?
Hot Skull?
Hot Skull.
SKULL.
Yeah.
HOT.
No, I've never even heard of it. Oh, yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that clarification.
Okay, I'm setting up the premise right now. You guys are going to be hooked.
Right.
You ready? You ready?
Okay, yeah,
Okay,
I'm ready.
for the past 8 years, a worldwide epidemic has been affecting how people communicate. I know. It's called ARDS, ARDS, okay? And the main symptom is the people infected speak nonsense, okay? They are called jabberers.
Oh.
The virus is spread via the jabberer. Okay, if someone who doesn't jabber is exposed to a jabberer's speech, they would become infected. So to protect themselves, people around wear
earmuffs,
noise-canceling earphones throughout the streets of Istanbul, where it's set.
Okay.
And enter our hero, Murat Siyavis. He somehow found himself immune to the jabber virus, right? He's the only one.
Has he just got a lot of earwax? Is that how he's immune?
He seems to be able to communicate with other people just fine. But when he's exposed, he tests himself by listening to tapes of jabber, and his head spikes in temperature, but he recovers, and he never jabbers. Hence, hot skull.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Okay, gets a hot skull. So he is hunted by those in power, of course, because he's known as the one who, is immune. But he wants to elude them because he wants to search for the secret of his hot skull. It's freaking fabulous. I loved it. It's a miniseries. It's on Netflix. It's great. It shows you what a lot of imagination and heart can create.
How does a TV series like this get made? Because this is the most bonkers idea for a TV show ever.
There was an episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine that had this premise. So I'm just saying that.
Oh.
I've never seen this show. And I'm actually wondering if I can watch it in the U.S. It might not be available, and that might be why I've never heard of it.
I hope so. Mm-hmm. It's called Hot Skull. I found it on Netflix in the UK. If you like a wacky premise and a sci-fi angle, this is for you. Check it out. My pick of the week.
It's certainly whack, if you ask me. Well, thank you. That just about wraps up the show for this week. Maria, I'm sure lots of our listeners would love to follow you online. What's the best way for folks
honestly,
to do
nowadays
that?
I use Mastodon more than Twitter. On Mastodon, I am at Varmazis at mstdn.social, if you can remember all that. I'm still at mvarmazis on Twitter. And of course, I'm on the Cyberwire, and I'm the space correspondent. So if you listen to the Cyberwire, you can hear me there as well. Space.
Final frontier.
Yeah, front ear. Yes.
Yes. And you can follow us on Twitter at @SmashInSecurity. No G. Twitter won't allow us to have a G. No chance of that happening anytime soon, I imagine. Smash Insecurity also is on Mastodon. We love it too. You can find us most easily by going to smashinsecurity.com/Mastodon, and that will redirect you to our account. And look up the Smash Insecurity subreddit on Reddit. And don't forget, to ensure you never miss another episode, follow Smash Insecurity in your favourite podcast app, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts.
And massive shout out to this episode's sponsors, Bitwarden, Nordlair, and Manage Engine PAM 360. And of course to our wonderful Patreon community. It's thanks to them all that this show is free. For episode show notes, sponsorship information, guest list, and the entire back catalog of more than 305 episodes, check out smashinsecurity.com.
Until next time, cheerio, bye-bye.
Bye! I'm better!
Bye! Yay, I'm glad you're better!
Yay! Welcome back, Carole.
Thank you, Graham. Maria, I was looking for the show notes for this episode, and I mistyped, and I didn't notice because you did episode 36 with us on the 3rd of August, 2017.
Are you serious?
Yes, and your topic was Flash.
Oh.
Flash.
What is Flash?
Da-da.
What is that? So
it's like, not dead yet. That's what you said.
Yeah, well, I thought you were going to say Facebook. I was like, no more Facebook, please.
There you go. A blast from the past.
Oh my God, 2017. I was a baby.
Yeah.
Baby. Oh.